Is everyone excited? It's a very exciting day. My name is Charlotte LeClaire, and I am the Naturalization Deputy for the District of Vermont. Very happy to be here with you today. I came to the last ceremony before COVID that was held here on July 4th. I think it was 2019. I took my family, and it was very moving and meaningful, and so I'm very glad to be here today working. It doesn't really feel like work, to be honest, but usually we have a lot of these ceremonies in the courthouse since COVID, but this is our first off-site ceremony since COVID, so it's always a special day, but today is even more special because of that. Thank you so much to the Calvin Coolidge Homesite and Foundation for having us today. I always like to remind people that even though it's a court proceeding, it's a celebration, so pictures, clapping, cheering, photography of all kinds are welcome. The only thing we ask are that car alarms and cell phones are turned off during the ceremony so that everybody can enjoy the process. Also, there are some youth passports on the table outside for any children. There's some activities. The U.S. Passport Office could not be here today, but they asked me to hand those out. There's some fun activities for children in there. Thank you. So we're going to get started shortly, and thank you all so much for being here. The last thing I would say is to all of you who are here today as guests, or even those of you who are here being naturalized, please share your experience with other people and encourage them to come to ceremonies. It's very moving and profound to witness citizenship and engage in civics this way. And so please let people know that naturalization ceremonies off-site and in the court are open to the public. You can check our website to find the dates for naturalization ceremonies. So we'll get started. All right. Hear ye, hear ye. The United States District Court, for and within the District of Vermont, is now open and ready for the transaction of business. The Honorable Chief Judge Jeffrey W. Crawford is presiding. Please remain standing as the Honor Guard comes in with the Unit 31 Auxiliary.
Prepare to post colors, post, and salute. 2. Return to your seats.
Please remain standing as we're joined by Jennifer Coolidge Harville, the great-granddaughter of President Coolidge, who will be performing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare
your students.
Hello, I'm Thatcher Dabowski. I'm from New Boston, New Hampshire.
I'm Nadia Pavlov. I'm from Littleton, Massachusetts.
I'm Isabella Wu. I'm from Stony Brook, New York.
I'm Junie Kim. I'm from Demorest, New Jersey. I'm Patrick Bernal. I'm from Riverville, New Jersey, but I will say that my parents most certainly weren't. And their naturalization is their third happiest day. Hopefully, after the day me and my brother were born. I'm not really sure anymore, though.
The following address we have the honor to present is President Coolidge's 1924 speech to the American Legion given in Omaha, Nebraska. The bringing together of all these different national, racial, religious, and cultural elements has made our country a kind of composite of the rest of the world. And we can render no greater service than by demonstrating the possibility of harmonious cooperation among so many various groups. Every one of them has something characteristic and significant of great value to cast into the common fund of our material, intellectual, and spiritual resources. The war brought a great test of our experiment in amalgamating these varied factors into a real nation, with the ideals and aspirations of a united people. None was accepted from the obligation to serve when the hour of danger struck. The event proved that our theory had been sound. On a solid foundation of a national unity, there had been erected a superstructure, which in its varied parts had offered full opportunity to develop all the range of talents and genius that had gone into its making. Well nigh all the races, religions, and nationalities of the world were represented in the armed forces of this nation, as they were in the body of our population. No man's patriotism was impugned or service questioned because of his racial origin, his political opinion, or his religious convictions.
We must not, in times of peace, permit ourselves to lose any part from the structure of patriotic unity. I make no plea for leniency towards those who are criminal or vicious, are open enemies of society, and are not prepared to accept the true standards of our citizenship. By tolerance, I do not mean indifference to evil. I mean respect for different kinds of good. Whether one traces his Americanisms back 3 centuries to the Mayflower, or 3 years to the steerage, is not half so important as whether his Americanism of today is real and genuine. No matter by what various crafts we came here, we are all now in the same boat. You men constituted the crew of our ship of state during her passage through the roughest waters. You made up the watch and held the danger posts when the storm was fiercest. You brought her safely and triumphantly into port. Out of that experience, you have learned the lessons of discipline, tolerance, respect for authority, and regard for the basic manhood of your neighbor. You bore aloft a standard of patriotic conduct and civil integrity to which all could repair. Such a standard, with a like common appeal, must be upheld just as firmly and unitedly now in time of peace. Among citizens honestly devoted to the maintenance of that standard, there need be small concern about differences of individual opinions in other regards. Granting first the essentials of loyalty to our country and to our fundamental institutions, we may not only overlook, but we may encourage differences of opinion as to other things. For differences of this kind will certainly be elements of strength rather than of weakness. They will give variety to our tastes and our interests. They will broaden our vision, strengthen our understanding, encourage the true humanities, and enrich our whole mode and conception of life. I recognize the full and complete necessity of 100% Americanism. but 100% Americanism may be made up of many various elements.
If we are to have that harmony and tranquility, that union of spirit, which is the foundation of real national genius and national progress, we must all realize that there are true Americans who did not happen to be born in our section of the country, who did not attend our place of religious worship, who are not of our racial stock, or who are not proficient in our language. If we are to create on this continent a free republic and an enlightened civilization that will be capable of reflecting the true greatness and glory of mankind, it will be necessary to regard these differences as accidental and unessential. We shall have to look beyond the outward manifestations of race and creed. Divine providence has not bestowed upon any race a monopoly of patriotism and character.
The same principle that it is necessary to apply to the attitude of mind among our own people, it is also necessary to apply to the attitude of mind among the different nations. During the war, we were required not only to put a strong emphasis on everything that appealed to our own national pride, but an equally strong emphasis on that which tended to disparage other peoples. There was an intensive cultivation of animosities and hatreds and enmities, together with a blind appeal to force, that took possession of substantially all the peoples of the earth. Of course, these ministered to the war spirit. They supplied the incentive for destruction, the motive for conquest. But in times of peace, these sentiments are not helps but hindrances. They are not constructive. The generally expressed desire of America first cannot be criticized. It is a perfectly correct aspiration for our people to cherish. But the problem which we have to solve is how to make America first. It cannot be done by the cultivation of national bigotry, arrogance, or selfishness.
Hatreds, jealousies, and suspicions will not be productive of any benefits in this direction. Here, again, we must apply the rule of toleration. Because there are other peoples whose ways are not our ways, whose thoughts are not our thoughts. We are not warranted in drawing the conclusion that they are adding nothing to the sum of civilization. We can make little contribution to the welfare of humanity on the theory that we are a superior people and that all others are an inferior people. We do not need to be too loud in the assertion of our own righteousness. It is true that we live under most favorable circumstances, but before we come to the final and irrevocable decision that we are better than everybody else, we need to consider what we might do if we had their provocations and their difficulties. We are not likely to improve our own condition or help humanity very much until we come to the sympathetic understanding that human nature is about the same everywhere, that it is rather evenly distributed across the surface of the earth, and that we are all united in a common brotherhood. We can only make America first in the true sense, which that means by cultivating a spirit of friendship and goodwill, by the exercise of the virtues of patience and forbearance, by being plenteous in mercy, and through progress at home and helpfulness abroad, standing as an example of real service to humanity. Thank you.
Morning. It's nice to see everybody. I'm Judge Crawford from representing the United States District Court for the District of Vermont. I want to thank the students for reading the Coolidge Address. 100 years later, it remains timely and prescient. We have some guests that I'd like to take a moment to introduce. Joyce Sherry is the site administrator here at the President Calvin Coolidge State Historic Site. If you put up your hand, we'll... We've already heard a wonderful rendition of the national anthem from Jennifer Coolidge Harville, who's here representing her family, the Coolidge family. We have two members of the Coolidge Foundation Board of Trustees with us, Nathaniel Denhart and Amity Schlaze. From the court, we have U.S. Marshal Bradley LaRose. And very often these naturalization ceremonies are strongly federal in their tone. It's a national citizenship, and this one is special because of such a strong Vermont connection, which is important to us all. And I'm very grateful to have with us former Governor Jim Douglas. Douglas's second visit to the home site today. He was here at 2:45 this morning, and along with many others who are here. And I think for all of you, that's the definition of a good sport and a devoted supporter. We have Vermont's Secretary of State, Sarah Hanses. And State Representative Tessa Boos. You have already seen, and it's a great honor to introduce the Honor Guard from the Post 31 Legion from Rutland, Clayton Rockwell, Carl Brown, Bill Champagne, Steve Kipp, and Suzanne Williams. And I'm so grateful. And the Post 31 Legion would not operate successfully without the auxiliary unit. And we have 5 members of the American Legion Unit 31 Auxiliary: Catherine LaJoyce, Donna Brown, Iola McCullough, Deborah Tmelowitz, and Catherine Kulig. And I thank you very much. The League of Women Voters is here, represented by Catherine and William Donahue. And they have many roles here, but one of the most important is they can give you information about registering to vote. And they have a table outside and can kind of lead everybody through that. The Thomas Chittenden chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution are present here as well, represented by Linda Ellie. And thank you. And we have a congressional representation as well from all 3 members of our delegation. From Bernie Sanders' office, we have Beth Haiti. From Congresswoman Becca Balant's office, we have Eileen Lax. And from Senator Peter Welch's office, we have Shannon Fernari. And I trust I haven't overlooked anybody, except I'm so grateful to have all of our other guests here as well. I think we can have the presentation of petitions for citizen. I call on Sonia DeWolf from the Burlington Field Office of the U.S. Customs and Immigration Service.
Good morning, Your Honor. It is my privilege to present to the court 12 applicants for naturalization from 9 countries. Each applicant has been examined by an officer of the USCIS, and each applicant has been found to be eligible for naturalization. USCIS now comes before the court to move all candidates be naturalized. Your Honor, there are also 3 applicants that have requested a change of name be granted by the court. The service interposes no objections to these requests. Thank you, Your Honor.
Before we administer the oath, we have some remarks from 2 of our guests, and I have a few things to say myself. Let me call first on Matthew Denhart, President of the Coolidge Foundation.
Well, good morning. Just one housekeeping item. It's a gray Toyota Corolla that seems to be extra excited to be here this morning. So if that's yours. Just an alert if you could help us to keep the noise to a minimum. Well, good morning. I'm Matthew Denhart, president of the Coolidge Foundation, and I bring greetings from the Coolidge Foundation, members of our board who are here, including Governor Douglas, who's our vice chair. It's an honor for us to be here with these 13 candidates for naturalization coming from 9 different countries. We are excited and honored to be here as witnesses as you take the oath of allegiance to join many of us as citizens of the United States. It's especially an exciting day because Calvin Coolidge himself took an important oath 100 years ago, plus a couple hours. And in fact, many of us reenacted that scene at 2:47 in the morning up at the Coolidge homestead when Calvin became the 30th president of the United States. Well, President Coolidge thought a lot about citizenship, so I think it's very fitting that this site hosts this ceremony on this day. I know it would bring him great joy to see so many of you come to this small village on the day he became president, no less, to be a part of a wonderful celebration of American citizenship. President Coolidge lies just down the road at the Notch Cemetery. He reports he's not able to make it this morning. We're sorry, you get me instead. But his writings and his speeches let us know what he might have said were he here speaking this morning. I'm certain he would have said that U.S. citizenship is important. To Coolidge, citizenship was much more than just a legal classification. It was something much greater than just that. He said American citizenship is a high estate. He who holds it is the peer of kings. The peer of kings. Of course, in America, we don't have kings. We're all kings as citizens and queens. To Coolidge, American citizenship was an incredible honor. He had absolute respect for America's institutions and the values upon which our republic rests. But Coolidge was very clear to point out time and time again that citizenship is not just about getting things. It's not just about privileges. Rather, true citizenship is about serving one's country. Coolidge said, and I'll quote, "The country cannot be run on the promise of what it will do for the people. The only motive to which they will continue, ready to respond, is the opportunity to do something for themselves, to achieve their own greatness, to work out their own destiny." He said that U.S. citizenship, quote, "has been secured only by untold toil and effort. It will be maintained by no other method. It demands the best that men and women have to give." He continues by saying, "To attempt to turn it into a thing of ease and inaction would be only to debase it." Voting, of course, is one most basic way as we participate as citizens, and it's wonderful that you'll have a chance to register today. This is important. Coolidge said persons who have the right to vote are trustees for the benefit of their country and their countrymen. They have no right to say they do not care. They must care. Of course, as citizens, we also have the responsibility, as Coolidge reminds us, to be informed when we do vote. To live up to the full measure of citizenship, Coolidge said, requires not only action, but intelligent action. Therefore, we must educate ourselves, and Coolidge noted specifically that education doesn't end when you finish your formal schooling. Before I wind down, just one final thought from Coolidge on citizenship. He recognized that in a country as large and diverse as the United States, toleration was very important. We heard declaimed an excerpt from a fantastic speech delivered very well by members of the Coolidge Senators Program, students who are here with the Coolidge Foundation from around the country. Thank you. That was just an excerpt, but he gave it in Omaha, and he was urging Americans to remember that toleration is important. He didn't mean, of course, that we all agree on everything all the time. In fact, far from it. In that excerpt, we heard how he talked about encouraging variety. I'm going to read another chunk of it. It's such a wonderful speech. We encourage everyone to read the entire thing. But I'll read another chunk that reiterates that point. It's a little long, but bear with me. I think you'll like it. Coolidge says, "Progress depends very much on the encouragement of variety. Whatever tends to standardize the community, to establish fixed and rigid modes of thought, tends to fossilize society. If we all believed the same thing and thought the same thoughts and applied the same valuations to all occurrences about us, we should reach a state of equilibrium closely akin to an intellectual and spiritual paralysis. It is the ferment of ideas, the clash of disagreeing judgments, the privilege of the individual to develop his own thoughts and shape his own character that makes progress possible. It is not possible to learn much from those who uniformly agree with us, but many useful things are learned from those who disagree with us. End quote. At the end of the day, we must remember we're all working to build America together. It's the beautiful thing about our country. Coolidge said that by toleration, he meant respect for different kinds of good. And of course, he said, by no matter what various crafts we came here, we're all now in the same boat. Well, we're in the same boat, and we're in the same tent. And there also were two oaths, one given by President Coolidge 100 years ago, and here in just a moment by 13 of you. Both were taken by Americans, citizen or about to be a citizen, taking part in our grand experiment in self-government. We thank you for the honor of having you here with us today. We hope that you'll stay and celebrate the Coolidge Centennial throughout the day. We'll have a reception after the ceremony right outside the tent. We invite everyone to join us, and activities going on throughout the afternoon up in the village. Again, congratulations, and now it's my honor to introduce Vermont's Secretary of State, Sarah Copeland-Hanses.
You may all have arrived on the same boat, but some of you arrived in a Toyota Corolla. Good job. Good timing. Welcome, friends and family. Welcome, new Americans, new Vermonters. I'm Sarah Copeland-Hanses. I am Vermont's 39th Secretary of State, and it's a real honor to be with you this morning, to share with you in this solemn occasion, and to offer to you the ability to register to vote in Vermont's elections. I brought with me a couple of essential tools that you might need. I brought with me copies of the Vermont Constitution, which you can pick up when we go back out for the reception afterward. And I also brought with you a publication of our office called Freedom and Unity, and it's a graphic novel that helps explain how democracy works in Vermont. And it's really an honor to be doing this solemn ceremony here at the Coolidge homestead, because many of us have heard the quote from President Coolidge about what should happen if liberty and support of our institutions should vanish in other parts of the Union. And he reminded us that they could all be replenished from the generous stores of the people of the great state of Vermont. And so it is my honor to welcome you to join us as people of the great state of Vermont, and I look forward to registering you to vote out at the table after the ceremony. Congratulations, and thank you so much. And now, to get to the real reason we're here, I will invite the Honorable Judge Crawford to come back up and get this show on the road.
I have a few remarks. I want to welcome you all to your naturalization ceremony. We can all thank the staff of the Calvin Coolidge birthplace for providing such a beautiful setting for such an important event in your lives. You will all leave here as American citizens, and we're very happy to include you among us. Let me take a moment to talk about a few things. First, although we come together with you today to welcome you and to wish you success and happiness in your life as citizens, we should all consider for a moment the difficulties of the journeys you've made and the richness and value of the heritage which each of you brings. First, the journey, The Latin poet Catullus said it best, multus per gentes et multa per aequora vectus. In English, that means carried through many nations and over many seas. Your journeys to America have, in many cases, not been easy. Some of you have left family, all of you have left friends and familiar surroundings for this new place. Some are refugees from lands which are torn by war. Some of you have experienced hunger and hardship. Today, we honor the continuing commitment of our nation to welcoming and caring for refugees and people seeking asylum and protection from danger and mistreatment. This is a fundamental value on which our nation was founded, and like all fundamental values, it will survive and outlast us all. All of you come today in search of a better life. But before we speak of that, let's take a moment to recognize the value of the lives and communities from which you've come. As we welcome you as fellow citizens, we take time to honor your heritage, your parents, your culture, your language, and the lands of your birth. As immigrants, you bring variety and energy and new ideas to us. Immigrants have enriched our society with these gifts for more than 200 years. As a nation, we're fortunate that you have chosen to make your lives here. We need you because of the gifts you bring, your willingness to work hard, your ideas, your sense of humor, your food, your sense of fashion, which is always on display, and on these days, and above all, your children. We look forward to seeing them grow up around us in schools and playgrounds. Meeting with your children after the ceremony is the best part of the event. What can everyone expect here in the years ahead as American citizens? Two things stand out: opportunity and individual freedom. These are the values which have brought people like your family and mine to America for 2 centuries. Let's talk about both. Opportunity means the chance to work, to go to school, to find a way to support yourselves, which has meaning for you, to save money for your family, to rent or buy a home, to educate your children, and someday to retire with dignity. Because our economy is strong, there is room for you to find a place which suits you. It's never easy. There are disappointments along the way, but it is possible, and millions have succeeded before you. This is a very open society for workers. One job leads to another. Your first job is not likely your last. You are already in a select group. People have chosen to come here and have the drive and enthusiasm to join us as citizens. The same energy which carried you through the naturalization process will help you in your search for a good job. Let me talk for a moment about freedom. Freedom means the chance to speak, assemble in groups, worship, and engage in politics without fear of interference from the government. I suggest you use this freedom by getting involved in a cause or a committee or a campaign. Maybe something local, like joining a committee at your children's school, or maybe something political, like volunteering on a campaign. There is an activity for every conceivable belief and interest. I urge you to take part in our shared public life because our freedom is strongest when it's used, and we would all welcome your involvement in public life. People who are born in the United States sometimes take it for granted, like people anywhere, or they concentrate on our faults and the unfair things about our society. New Americans like you bring optimism. You would not have come if you do not see the chance for a better life for your family. I ask that in the years ahead, you hold on to the hope and great expectations we all share with you on your Naturalization Day. Thank you so much for coming to join us today as American citizens. Now we get to the heart of today's event. I'll ask Cheryl LeClaire from the U.S. District Court to provide the roll call for the oath.
Before I call the names for the oath, I just want to double check to see if Luisa Adelia Arroyo Olivares is here anywhere. Okay, I just didn't want to miss you. So when I call your name, and apologies in advance for any poor pronunciation, I do my best. I do research names as much as I can. So when I call your name, please stand up and remain standing. Nina Birgitta King-Skitma, Luis Felipe Toro Reyes, Zenaida Ramos Aiken, Dana Waters, Nadine Niles, Margaret Jean Harris, Daniel Nathaniel Duplessis, Vivian Claire Duplessis, Melody Hernandez Combs, Adis Kujovic, Kareem Albert Wissa, Lawana Carrara Sargent. Please raise your right hand, and you can follow along with the judge in the program. There's the Oath of Allegiance on page 2 of the program.
If you'll repeat after me, I'll go a few words at a time. I hereby declare. On oath. That I absolutely. And entirely. Renounce and abjure. All allegiance. And fidelity. To any foreign prince. Potentate. State or sovereignty. Of whom or which. I have heretofore. Been a subject or citizen. That I will support and defend the Constitution. And laws of the United States of America. Against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith. And allegiance to the same. That I will bear arms. On behalf of the United States. When required by the law. That I will perform non-combatant service. In the armed forces of the United States. When required by the law. That I will perform work of national importance. Under civilian direction. When required by the law. And that I take this obligation freely. Without any mental reservation. Or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Well, I now present you with your naturalization certificate. It's obviously a very important document, and it has your photo on it. If you'll take a look, and if you don't see your own friendly face looking back at you, let us know.
So for this part of the presentation, we'll have the judge and the marshal, the Unit 31 Auxiliary, the DAR, the League of Women Voters, the congressional delegation, members of the Coolidge Foundation, and Jennifer Harvell line up in front of the podium, and we'll have each of you come up to receive your certificate when your name is called. And family and friends, please feel free to take as many photos as you like during this. Just don't forget, at the end of the ceremony, we'll all be sticking around to take more photos. So don't feel like you have to get all your photos right now, but certainly take as many as you'd like. So we'll have you, when we call your name, we'll have you start at the end of the line down here, and then make your way down to receive your certificate from the judge. Nina Birgitta King-Skitma, formerly of Sweden.
Thank you very much.
Luis Felipe Toro Reyes, formerly of Chile. Zenaida Ramis Aiken, formerly of the Philippines. Dana Waters, formerly of Romania. Nadine Niles, formerly of Haiti. Margaret Jean Harris, formerly of Canada. Daniel Nathaniel Duplessis, formerly of South Africa. Vivian Claire Duplessis, formerly of South Africa. Melody Hernandez Combs, formerly of the Philippines. Adis Kujovic, formerly of Montenegro. Kareem Albert Wissa, formerly of Canada. Loana Pereira Sargent, formerly of Peru. Congratulations. Thank you to the congressional delegation, Judge Crawford, Marshall LaRose, the League of Women Voters, members of the Coolidge family and foundation, the auxiliary unit for helping with the presentation of certificates. Now we'll be joined by Bill Wiles for some musical selections.
Well, I'm not going to sing, I'm just going to welcome you. Very glad to have you.
Good morning. Welcome to the new citizens. And if you had been paying attention, you would have heard Judge Crawford talk about this being a participatory democracy. You're all in front. I can see you all. I invite you to join with me and the Coolidge Senators Tabernacle Choir in a couple of selections. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty, above the fruited plain. America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for pilgrims feet, who stern impassioned stress, a thoroughfare for freedom be across the wilderness. America, America, God mend thine every flaw, confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. Nicely done. And I see our friend the Toyota Corolla wants to get up. When the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us pledge allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be faithful to a land so rare, as we raise our voices in a solemn